Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a truth that can transform your entire life. Goals without purpose are like cars without engines. You can sit in them, polish them, even map out where you want to go, but without power, you're not moving anywhere. You see, most people spend their lives chasing goals that don't move their soul. They set goals for money, cars, houses, likes, or titles, but not for meaning. And when the motivation fades, they quit because motivation is seasonal, but purpose is eternal. When you discover why you were created, your goals gain energy from a higher source. Your purpose becomes the power that pushes you through the pain, the pressure, and the process. Purpose is not just a reason to exist. It is the engine that gives your goals life, direction, and endurance. When people set goals, they often think of them as destinations, the place they want to reach. But purpose is not a destination. It is the power source that gets you there. You can set as many goals as you like, but if those goals are disconnected from a deeper reason, they will run out of energy the moment resistance shows up. That is why so many people start strong and end weak. They begin with excitement but lack endurance because they never connected their goals to a meaningful purpose. When purpose is clear, your goals gain power. Purpose gives you something that motivation can't sustain. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. Purpose is spiritual. It roots you, steadies you, and keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it. Think about it. How many times have you started something full of enthusiasm only to lose interest a few weeks later? That's because your goal was fueled by feeling, not by purpose. But when your purpose drives you, you don't stop when it gets hard. You dig deeper, you fight harder, you keep showing up not because it's easy, but because you know you're meant to. Purpose is the fuel for perseverance. It transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. When you're guided by purpose, the challenges that come your way no longer feel like barriers. They feel like part of the process. Every setback becomes a setup for something greater. When you don't know your purpose, every obstacle feels like a wall. But when you do, that same obstacle becomes a door, a test to prove how much you believe in what you say you're called to do. Purpose gives you the endurance to keep pushing, the faith to believe that something good can come from something hard, and the power to keep pressing even when progress seems invisible. It's easy to say, I want to make more money, or I want to grow my business, or I want to change my life. But why? That why is where purpose lives. If your why isn't strong enough, your goal won't stand the pressure. When your purpose is rooted in serving others, improving lives, or fulfilling a divine assignment, that purpose becomes the power that multiplies your results. You start making decisions not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of those you're meant to impact. That shift changes everything. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, who can I become? When you operate from purpose, your goals are no longer ordinary tasks on a list. They become sacred missions. A person with purpose sees work differently. They show up differently. Their energy, their focus, their passion, everything elevates. That's because purpose transforms goals into commitments that can't be shaken. You move from chasing success to carrying out an assignment. And when you treat your goals as part of a greater calling, you stop measuring your progress by how fast you reach the goal and start valuing who you become in the process. Purpose also has a way of attracting what you need. When you move in alignment with your purpose, you stop striving so hard for things that are not meant for you. The right opportunities, the right people, the right resources begin to appear, not by accident, but by alignment. People can sense when you're walking in your purpose. There's a different energy around someone who knows why they're here. They're not desperate, they're driven. They're not trying to impress, they're trying to impact. And that magnetism draws in everything that belongs to their mission. Purpose gives your goals a voice that speaks louder than doubt. It allows you to keep your focus when distractions try to pull you off track. Without purpose, your goals can easily become burdens. With purpose, they become blessings. That's the power of alignment. When your goals serve your purpose, every small win feels meaningful, every failure feels instructive, and every moment becomes part of a bigger story being written through you. There's something incredible that happens when your goals stop being about survival and start being about significance. When you stop asking, what can I achieve? And start asking, what impact can I make? That's when the shift happens. You start living at a higher level. You start realizing that success is not about accumulation, but contribution. Purpose turns your ambition into assignment, your plans into principles, and your goals into something that can outlive you. That's the real power of purpose. It transforms your focus, your effort, and your outcome. It gives your goals life beyond numbers, beyond recognition, beyond temporary satisfaction. It pushes you to grow through what you go through. And it teaches you that the journey is not about reaching something. It's about becoming someone. A goal says, I want to achieve something, but purpose says, I'm meant to achieve something. That simple difference changes everything. A person chasing goals will always be in motion, but a person walking in purpose moves with direction. You can chase achievement all your life and still feel empty when you arrive, because achievement without assignment feels hollow. When you understand your purpose, the goals you set take on a divine quality. They stop being things to accomplish and start becoming expressions of who you are and what you were created to do. Most people never reach their full potential because their goals are disconnected from their identity. They set goals that sound impressive, but don't align with who they really are or what they truly value. They pursue success based on what society celebrates, not what their soul requires. That's why some people can achieve great things and still feel like something's missing. It's not that their goals were too small. It's that their goals were misaligned. Purpose gives your goals meaning. It gives your actions significance. It transforms work into worship and effort into expression. When you discover your purpose, every goal becomes a mission. You stop living for applause and start living for assignment. You don't just do things because they're popular, you do them because they're purposeful. You stop measuring success by what you achieve and start measuring it by what you contribute. When you live that way, every step becomes sacred. Even your failures carry meaning because they're part of a larger design shaping who you are becoming. Purpose turns ordinary effort into extraordinary impact because it connects what you do with why you do it. Purpose is the bridge between your ambition and your destiny. Without it, goals become tasks, things to check off a list. With it, goals become callings, things that draw you forward. When you align your goals with your purpose, you no longer chase success. Success begins to flow through you. You start noticing that the work you do has more depth, the time you invest feels more meaningful, and the results you achieve leave a greater mark. Purpose breathes power into your plans. It gives life to the things you pursue because it connects them to something eternal. Every person has goals, but not every person has purpose. That's why some people grind for years but still feel unfulfilled. Purpose is the difference between movement and meaning. You can move fast and go nowhere if your direction isn't right. But once you align your actions with your purpose, progress becomes natural. You no longer force growth, you allow it. You stop striving to make things happen and start aligning yourself with what was already meant to happen. Purpose doesn't remove the work, it just makes the work worth it. It turns stress into strength, effort into excellence, and pressure into purpose. When your goals are fueled by purpose, discipline becomes easier. You don't need constant motivation because purpose creates momentum. You get up early, you stay focused, you push through pain, not because someone told you to, but because you're driven by something bigger than comfort. Purpose doesn't let you settle. It keeps you accountable to the version of yourself that you're becoming. You can't quit because your calling won't let you. That's what makes people of purpose unstoppable. They're not working for recognition, they're working from conviction. Purpose also brings clarity. It helps you decide which goals are worth pursuing and which ones are distractions. When you're clear about your purpose, you can say no with confidence because you already know what you're saying yes to. Every opportunity that doesn't align becomes easy to release. You stop wasting energy on things that don't feed your mission. That clarity saves time, protects peace, and multiplies productivity. You no longer measure your worth by business, you measure it by alignment. Purpose simplifies your life by focusing your energy on what truly matters. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. Purpose refines your focus. It teaches you that not every open door is meant for you. Some doors are distractions designed to look like opportunities. But when your goals are guided by purpose, you can discern which doors lead to destiny. Purpose acts as your internal compass, always pulling you toward your assignment, even when you drift off course. That's why a person of purpose may fail, but they can never be lost. They always find their way back because purpose has a gravitational pull that keeps them aligned with their calling. When you live by purpose, your goals stop being about personal success and start being about generational significance. You start thinking beyond what you can get and begin focusing on what you can give. Purpose moves you from self-centered ambition to impact-driven contribution. It shifts your mindset from how can I win to how can I help others win. That change brings deeper fulfillment than any material reward. You begin to realize that success measured only by money or recognition is small compared to success measured by the lives you touch. Purpose doesn't just change what you do it. It changes how you do it. It changes your attitude, your energy, and your approach. You start working with passion instead of pressure. You stop seeing challenges as punishment and start viewing them as preparation. You stop chasing approval and start chasing assignment. Every action becomes intentional. Every goal becomes meaningful. Every moment becomes a chance to express your purpose in the world around you. When you walk in purpose, something powerful begins to happen. You stop chasing and start attracting. The moment your intentions align with who you're meant to be, life begins to organize itself around your assignment. The opportunities, people, and resources you've been striving for begin to find their way to you because purpose has a frequency. It vibrates at a level that draws everything connected to your destiny closer and repels everything that's not meant for you. That's why people who operate with clarity and conviction seem to experience divine timing. It's not luck, it's alignment. So many people spend their lives running after things they were never meant to catch. They chase recognition, money, and validation because they believe those things will complete them. But what they don't realize is that you only attract what reflects your internal state. If you're operating from desperation, you'll attract confusion. If you're operating from fear, you'll attract limitation. But when you operate from purpose, you attract progress. You magnetize growth. You draw in favor because your actions carry authenticity, and authenticity is irresistible. When you walk in purpose, you don't have to force doors open. You simply walk through the ones that are meant for you. You stop trying to make people see your value because the right people will recognize it without explanation. The energy of purpose cannot be hidden. It speaks before you do. It enters the room before you arrive. When someone is walking in their calling, you can feel it. Their words carry conviction, their presence carries peace, and their actions carry consistency. They no longer chase validation because they know they were already validated by the vision they carry inside. Purpose changes the way you pursue your goals. Instead of asking, how can I get more? You start asking, how can I become more? When you focus on becoming instead of acquiring, you begin to embody the very things you were chasing. You attract success because you've developed the capacity to hold it. Purpose teaches you that it's not about chasing outcomes, it's about cultivating character. When your internal world matches your external goals, attraction becomes effortless. You no longer need to hustle for everything because your habits, mindset, and mission are aligned. When you walk in purpose, your energy shifts. You stop moving with anxiety and start moving with assurance. You're not striving anymore, you're flowing. That doesn't mean there's no work. It means your work is guided by wisdom. You start working from a place of peace rather than pressure. That kind of energy is contagious. People want to collaborate with you, invest in you, and learn from you because your confidence comes from clarity, not ego. Purpose breeds a quiet power that draws the right people toward your path. The opportunities that come from purpose are different. They're not forced, they're formed by alignment. They fit your life without friction because they were designed for you. The wrong opportunities require you to shrink yourself, pretend, or compromise your values. The right ones expand you, challenge you, and call out your greatness. Purpose teaches you discernment. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to the right things. Every yes becomes intentional, every partnership becomes purposeful, and every step moves you closer to what you're called to create. When you live in purpose, even rejection becomes redirection. What others see as loss, you see as guidance. You understand that closed doors are not punishment but protection. Purpose keeps you from being bitter because you trust that everything happening is working for your mission. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize your timeline is tied to your assignment. What's meant for you will not miss you when you stay in alignment. That's the peace purpose gives. It removes the need for competition and replaces it with confidence in divine timing. Purpose also changes your relationship with effort. When you're out of alignment, effort feels exhausting. You push, grind, and force progress because you're trying to manufacture results. But when you're in purpose, effort feels empowering. You still work hard, but it's not draining, it's fulfilling. You wake up excited, you stay consistent, and you end your days with gratitude because your work feeds your spirit instead of depleting it. Purpose gives meaning to motion. It transforms your labor into legacy and your hustle into harmony. You can always tell when someone is walking in purpose because there's a peace about them, even in uncertainty. They don't panic when plans shift, they adapt. They don't fear lack because they understand that provision follows purpose. They trust that if they stay faithful to their assignment, everything they need will appear at the right time. They don't chase money. Money begins to chase them because value always follows vision. The moment you commit to purpose, the universe rearranges itself to support your mission. Purpose makes you magnetic. It draws the right audience, the right mentors, the right platforms, and the right moments. The people you're meant to impact will recognize your authenticity and gravitate toward your message. Purpose doesn't need to shout. It simply shines. It attracts not through noise, but through resonance. People don't just see what you do. They feel who you are. That's the kind of influence that lasts because it's not built on manipulation. It's built on meaning. When your actions flow from purpose, everything around you begins to align. The chaos to calm, the confusion starts to clear, and the right paths begin to unfold. You stop asking life to give you opportunities and start preparing yourself to receive them. Purpose attracts provision because it creates alignment between your identity and your destiny. You no longer chase your dreams. You become the person your dreams have been looking for. Goals can make you successful, but purpose makes you significant. You can reach every milestone, win every award, and still feel empty if what you achieved wasn't tied to something meaningful. Purpose is what gives success its substance. Without it, even your biggest wins can feel like noise fading into silence. But when your actions are guided by purpose, your achievements echo beyond your lifetime. Purpose doesn't just build wealth, it builds legacy. It transforms your efforts into something that endures, something that continues to impact others long after you're gone. When you operate from purpose, you start thinking differently about success. You stop measuring life by what you have and start measuring it by what you've given. The question shifts from how much can I get to how much can I contribute? Purpose gives your goals depth. It makes you realize that real fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation, but from contribution. You can chase pleasure, power, or prestige and still feel a void. But when you serve a purpose larger than yourself, that void disappears. Every goal you reach becomes a building block in the foundation of something eternal. Purpose turns temporary wins into timeless impact. You start to understand that what you create is not just for you, it's for everyone connected to you. Your family, your community, and even generations you'll never meet benefit from the seeds you plant today. That's what legacy is, the ripple effect of purpose expressed through consistent action. Legacy is not something you leave behind when you die. It's something you live every day when your life becomes an example. Every choice, every goal, every effort adds another brick to that foundation. When you live with purpose, your perspective on challenges changes. You begin to see difficulties as opportunities for development. The obstacles that once frustrated you become the very experiences that shape your legacy. Struggle refines you, strengthens you, and gives depth to your story. Legacy isn't built through comfort, it's built through courage. The people who impact the world the most are not the ones who avoided pain, but the ones who used it as preparation. Purpose allows you to see pain as a teacher, not a punishment. It transforms every hardship into a lesson that adds value to others. Purpose also gives you a sense of accountability beyond yourself. You stop living only for your desires and start living for your destiny. You recognize that your actions have consequences that extend beyond your lifetime. The way you handle your business, relationships, and responsibilities creates a pattern for others to follow. Someone is watching you, learning from you, and being shaped by the example you set. When your life operates with that awareness, you start living with intention. You no longer act impulsively because you know that legacy is being written in real time. Purpose-driven people build their lives on principles, not preferences. Preferences change with moods, but principles remain constant. They make decisions that may not feel convenient now, but create a lasting impact later. They understand that purpose is about planting trees whose shade they may never sit under. It's about choosing to live in a way that benefits those who come after you. That's what separates success from significance. Success looks inward, significance looks outward. Success adds to you, significance multiplies through you. When your goals are powered by purpose, your work begins to outlive your presence. You start to create systems, ideas, and values that keep producing fruit even when you're no longer there to tend them. Purpose-driven work has a life of its own because it's fueled by truth, integrity, and love. These are forces that time cannot erase. The businesses you build, the people you mentor, the lessons you teach, they continue to operate long after you've moved on because they're built on eternal principles. Purpose helps you shift from short-term gain to long-term growth. It makes you think generationally. You stop looking at success as something that ends with you and start viewing it as something that begins with you. You realize that the true reward of purpose is not just the prosperity you achieve, but the possibilities you create for others. Your victories become their starting point. Your wisdom becomes their guidance. Your faith becomes their foundation. That's how legacy works. It multiplies through influence. Living with purpose gives your daily actions a sense of sacredness. You stop treating your routine like repetition and start treating it like responsibility. Every task, no matter how small, becomes an expression of your mission. You begin to understand that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Excellence stops being optional. It becomes natural because you're not working for applause, you're working for alignment. You know that everything you touch carries your fingerprint, and you want that fingerprint to represent something honorable. Purpose turns your life into a message that speaks long after your voice is gone. It's not about perfection, but progression. It's about showing others what's possible when you live intentionally. Purpose reminds you that the impact you make on others is the real measure of your existence. Every goal you achieve through purpose creates a ripple that touches lives you may never see. You may not know the full reach of your influence, but purpose ensures that it continues far beyond what you can imagine.